What if Gojo didn't fight alone? What if the battle against Sukuna wasn't a 1v3? Because that's what it really was. It wasn't just Gojo versus Sukuna. It was Gojo versus Sukuna, Mahoraga, and Agito. 3 monsters, 1 man, and he still almost won. But what if he had help? Imagine this, Gojo enters the battlefield, but Yuta Okatsu, Kinji Hikari, and Maki Zenin are right beside him. No more solo battle. This is war. Gojo activates Infinity and keeps Sukuna locked in. Yuta, with Rika's power, copies Limitless and supports Gojo with reverse cursed energy. Hikari hits Jackpot and becomes immortal for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, again and again. Maki, built like Toji, slices through Shikigami like paper. Now Sukuna has a real problem. He's getting pressured from every side. Mahoraga appears. Maki and Hikari stall him. Agito fuses and charges in. Yuta intercepts. And Gojo focuses everything on Sukuna. Without needing to heal himself. Without blocking every summon. Without holding 3 monsters back alone. He lands Black Flash again. He uses Hollow Purple without risk. He fights without distraction. And the result? Sukuna's domain fails. Mahoraga doesn't adapt in time. Megumi's soul is never pushed deeper. And Sukuna gets erased completely. That's the world where Gojo accepts help. But we didn't get that world. We got Gojo, proud, alone, determined to win by himself. Because that's who he was. The honored one. He trusted his own strength more than anything. And maybe, that's why he smiled in the end. Even in death, Gojo knew this was his fight. But still, what if Gojo had backup? What if the strongest didn't fight alone? Would Sukuna still be standing? Or would he finally fall? Tell me what you think in the comments. RiftSenpai, out.
Gojo versus Sukuna, the most hyped battle in JJK history, and it left fans divided. But who's really the strongest? Let's break it down. Gojo had to face not 1, not 2, but 3 opponents, Sukuna, Mahoraga, and Agito, all at once. He was basically doing a 1 versus 3, and even then, he dominated the fight. He adapted to Mahoraga, landed multiple Black Flashes, and completely outclassed Sukuna until the very end. So what happened? Gojo let his guard down. Gege himself said that's why he lost. He thought he won, and in that one moment, Sukuna slashed him in half. But ask yourself, if Gojo had stayed focused, if it was a clean 1v1, no Mahoraga, no Agito, would Sukuna survive? Because Gojo had better technique, better control, and Limitless plus 6 Eyes gives him near infinite cursed energy. But Sukuna, he's smart, ruthless, he plans ahead, and he used Binding Vows, Megumi's 10 Shadows, and even Mahoraga to break Gojo's flow. So who's stronger? If we're talking pure power, ability, and skill, Gojo wins. If we're talking battle IQ and strategy, Sukuna had the edge. But in a fair fight, Gojo doesn't lose. What do you think? Drop your take in the comments. Sukuna or Gojo? Let's settle this. Gojo versus Sukuna, the battle that shook the fandom. But what if we never saw Sukuna's full power? Because the Sukuna Gojo fought wasn't the real one. That was modern Sukuna using 10 Shadows. But now, he's in his Heian era form, his original body, his true power. So let's ask the real question. Would Gojo survive Heian Sukuna? Let's break it down. Gojo has Limitless, 6 Eyes, near infinite cursed energy. He adapted to Mahoraga, landed Black Flashes, and pushed Sukuna to the edge alone in a 1v3. But Heian Sukuna is different. He's not holding back. He doesn't need 10 Shadows. He uses his original domain expansion. No open barrier, no cheap tricks, just raw, divine, cursed energy. This version of Sukuna is so powerful, even Kashimo's God of Lightning form couldn't touch him. But Gojo is Gojo. If it's a fair 1v1, no Mahoraga, no Agito, no tricks, he can keep up. His Infinity cancels close range attacks. 6 Eyes reads every move, and his power scaling is still God tier. So who wins? If Sukuna's in his Heian era body, at full power, and Gojo is at 100% focus, not holding back, it's a war. Gojo has better technique, Sukuna has rawer power. The real answer? There's no easy winner, but one thing's clear. We never saw Gojo versus Sukuna at their truly strongest, and that's why this debate will never die. Who wins in a full power 1v1? Gojo or Heian era Sukuna? Drop your answer in the comments. Let the war begin. Can Kashimo actually beat Sukuna? Sounds crazy, right? But let's break it down. Kashimo isn't your average sorcerer. This guy is literally built for one fight. Lightning fast reflexes, monstrous combat IQ, and a one-time curse technique so deadly it can only be used once in his entire life. His mythical beast Amber mode turns him into pure destruction. Speed that could rival even Gojo's, and hits that can one-shot most opponents. But here's the problem. Sukuna isn't most opponents. He's the king of curses. Insane durability, ridiculous domain control, and adaptability that makes him almost impossible to surprise. Even if Kashimo blitzed Sukuna in his final form, could he actually land a killing blow before Sukuna adapts and counters? That's where it gets tricky. So yeah, Kashimo could push Sukuna harder than almost anyone, but beating him, that might be a fight even Lightning can't win. What do you think? Can Kashimo's one shot take the crown? Thunderbolt crown. Everyone thinks Gojo lost because Sukuna was stronger, but that's not the whole truth. Gojo didn't just fight Sukuna. He fought Sukuna, Mahoraga, and Agito all alone. And And while Gojo smiled in the end, that smile hid something deeper. The real reason Gojo lost was Gojo himself. He refused help. He wanted a fair one-on-one. He was the honored one, the strongest, or so he believed. But Sukuna, he played dirty. He used Megumi's 10 shadows. He let Mahoraga adapt. He fused with Ajito. He even broke the domain rules. Sukuna fought to win. Gojo fought for pride. And that's the difference. If Gojo had backup, Yuta, Hikari, Maki, Sukuna wouldn't last a minute. But Gojo didn't want help because Gojo didn't just want to win. He wanted to prove he was the greatest, even alone. That pride, it cost him everything. So no, Gojo didn't lose because he was weaker. He lost because he believed in himself more than the team. And that's why, even in death, he smiled. Because Gojo died being Gojo.
Everyone's asking why didn't Gojo just dodge Sukuna's world-cutting slash? Gojo's infinity makes him untouchable, and his reflexes are insane. Against normal slashes, dodging is easy. But Sukuna's technique wasn't normal. The world-cutting slash didn't travel in a straight line. Sukuna cut space itself. That means no matter where Gojo moved, the slash already existed. It wasn't about speed or distance, it was an attack that transcended position. Even infinity couldn't help, because the slash ignored the very concept of distance. Gojo wasn't careless, he faced an attack that was literally undodgeable. His only choice was to take it head on. So here's the real question. Was Sukuna's slash truly unbeatable? Or could Gojo have countered it some other way? Comment your take. Gojo Satoru, the man everyone calls untouchable, infinity, limitless, the strongest. But here's a question nobody asks. What if Gojo actually had a limit? Imagine infinity isn't infinite at all, but a cursed energy sinkhole. Every attack he blocks drains him little by little. By the end of a long fight, Gojo isn't a god. He's just a guy with 2% battery left and no charge. And unlimited void? Sure, it fries enemies' brains in seconds, but even Gojo's brain can't stay on god mode forever. Spam it too much, and maybe even Gojo ends up lagging like an old PC with 500 tabs open. But here's a real plot twist. Gojo's greatest limit might not be infinite, it's his humanity, stamina, emotions, pride. If you break the man, you break the sorcerer. And that's what makes Gojo terrifying. Not that he's limitless, but that he isn't. So tell me, if Gojo has a true weakness, what is it? His cursed energy, his mind, or his heart? Drop your take, and let's see if the strongest is really untouchable.